Hi, this is Damien Foley, and this is my MBA journey at Melbourne Business School. And today I'm going to be talking about my first day at Melbourne Business School, first class in leadership and orientation. So basically, to recap over the last couple of days, what's been happening is I was stressing out because I'd only been given access to Canvas, which is our learning management system, at the Melbourne Business School on Wednesday that I was actually able to get access, and we required that for obviously doing all our readings before we went to the class today, and for the next 2 days, that meant that because I only received it on Wednesday, I wasn't able to do all the readings prior to today, and I was not in a good place in terms of how I felt about going today. To be honest, I was actually asked by somebody today how I felt before we went into the orientation to the start of the day. I sort of sat down with some other students, and I was asked the question how I felt, and I said, to be honest, I'm shitting myself because I haven't done the readings, and I was, feeling a bit nervous as a first day, and as it turns out, I'm not the only person that had an issue with being able to access Canvas. It turns out a number of people were given access to Canvas only in the last week. The other things, actually, some people have not actually been able to actually access Canvas as yet. So they had to have the readings that we were required to articles emailed to them. So the reason it was put forward to us today that has occurred is because we were late enrollments. Now, there were a number of people there that talking with different ones who were all in the same boat. It wasn't just one or two or three, there were a number. So I know that they have transitioned from a Blackboard to Canvas. At least that's what it has on their website. I don't know if that's a factor. I just find it a coincidence that so many of us didn't have access to Canvas in a reasonable amount of time for us to be able to access those articles to read prior to today. So, feeling okay that it was not just me. Doesn't help the situation though. Still got to read the articles, and there is time pressure. So again, I've stayed up until 12 a.m. tonight reading articles. But I'll go through and tell you what I did today. So the first part of the day was our orientation. We were given a bit of a presentation on what going into the course involves. We got an idea of what backgrounds people were in the room. There was probably about, I would say, there's about maybe 9 of us times 6 nines of, yeah, 6 nines are yeah, I can't think. 6 nines are 54. Yeah, 54. So there's about 50 of us. 54 of us. And I think there was about, of the 54, there was actually only about 12 or 13 females, women. So it was an interesting factor. Probably about half to a third of us come from have an undergraduate degree in commerce. There were a couple of people that came from a an arts degree. Others came from, say, engineering. There were a couple of engineers. So yeah, it's interesting. There were a number that were born overseas. I think probably about 2/3. So about a third were born in Australia. Number under the age of 32 would be about 3/4 to 2/3. Yeah, those older than 32. There are those with children. I think there might have been about 10. Yeah, so it was interesting to see the demographic of those undertaking the MBA program at Melbourne Business School today. One of the activities we were given to do was to write down on a card, on the basis of 4 areas that we want to achieve while doing the MBA, and to set these in motion around 4 aspects outside of doing the MBA. The first is ourselves. What do we want to be able to do, expectations of ourselves while doing the MBA, outside of the MBA. So, for example, I put down that I want to still be able to do my workout of a morning, do an hour's workout. I want to still be able to socialize for a few hours each week, be it a Friday night or a Saturday night, or be able to catch up with, do something outside of socialize. I want to be able to still be able to watch a couple of hours of TV, Netflix. The other one is I got from another team member. They said that it was important to them. Is also important to me. I need to be able to get at least 7 or 8 hours sleep each night. So that's important to me. And they're the things that I put down. The other thing that was subject matter part that's important was around family and friends, and what was important with our family and friends. So I still want to be able to do my phone call, coffee catch up with a friend for an hour or 2 each week, ideally, be it that over the phone or in person. Yeah, so I still want to be able to text message and catch up for drinks or have dinner. Relationship wise, I will probably not be able to have a full on relationship. The realistic is time commitment. I can't give a full time relationship. They would have to understand that there is my time commitment for doing the MBA and also to work. It leaves very limited time for me to have a relationship with someone. So there would need to be an understanding. If I did have a relationship, the time would be limited, and the time when that could happen would also be defined based upon when I had available to meet up and to be a part of that relationship. So the other part was around community. So the community aspect was the one thing I put down was mentoring. I still want to be able to give back. I want to be a mentor to, say, university students, which would take 1 or 2 hours a week or fortnight, so not a lot of time. The other main thing that was discussed, and I sort of left this till last, it's very important, is work. What are the expectations of work? what are the KPIs, requirements, direct reporting of direct reporters, and the KPI requirements of my job that will ensure that my work is happy with what I'm achieving, and there is no expectation that work will become before doing the MBA or as the priority, and that it's understood that as long as I'm meeting those KPIs, meeting that requirement, that it's not expected that I will give more in lieu or in taken away from my personal time or time for doing the MBA, spent on the MBA. For example, if I've got a class, starts at 6 o'clock, and there is a meeting that turns up at 4:30, that and that meeting would potentially run for an hour, that I would actually not be going to that meeting at 4:30, or if I went to that meeting at 4:30, it would be understood that I'd be leaving at 5 because I need to go to class and be ready for that class at 6 o'clock. Yes, I'm happy with work as far as they're willing, all understanding and communication, so far as that they will be accommodating, understanding and aware of try to accommodate to that fact that I do have classes and they can run during the week, which is what happened today. It's a Friday. So, and next week I'll be having classes for Thursday and Friday during workout. That's their workout. So I've let them know, and they're okay with that. And we would work around what things and I would try and I'll let them know in advance what I have as my schedule for the MBA, so that work will be able to work around that for me. So yes, but there is, on that basis, the expectation is I let them know in advance, so that is not an issue. So yes, they were the 4 things. We wrote those down on a card, and we put them in an envelope. And what they told us was that they will actually, we wrote our address on the envelope, and they will mail that out to us in 6 weeks' time, and for us to review that card and see whether we've committed ourselves to those expectations ourselves, to deliver on those outcomes, and that we have been, and yes, that is what we've been doing for the last 6 weeks while doing the MBA. If not, then we have to reassess whether it's viable, and if it is viable, then we need to put in place those actions to make it happen. So yes, that's what we did today. We also did around leadership. We started the last half of the class. The day was around leadership. So I've actually finished a reading. The reading that I finished was How to Become a Better Leader. There is what I learned from that reading. My summary is that becoming a good leader requires. I'll get back. I'm jumping here. I'm actually going to go back a bit. Okay, part of doing the leadership. You remember that what they told us was that the best way to learn is to ensure that you take, after you do the class, is that you do a recap of the class to get the best benefit. So to write down a summary of what you have taken away from doing that class. So it's not a case of going through it, doing it, and then walking away and forgetting about it. It's a case of going there, doing it, doing a recap, debrief of what we took away from the class. They said that's the best way to recap and capture what you've learned for the day. Otherwise, you'll walk away and forget it. And to actually write that down. So, yes, they said that was very important by doing that. That was an action by doing, and that's the best way to learn. You remember that I said that one of the best ways to learn is to be a teacher, is to teach it to others, because by teaching it to others, you have to learn it, you have to understand it, and you have to then be able to explain it and educate others in that, and to a depth that your awareness and understanding gives you the ability to do so, and to communicate that to others in a way, and that knowledge to others. And that's the best way. That's like 95% or 90%, something like that, was the best way to learn, is by teaching it. So what I've decided I'm going to do is, for all of my readings and my coursework, I will do the summary. I'll do a summary after each reading of that work. I'll also need to do my debrief notes. I'm actually going to communicate those back to you guys through this video, through my videos. That will be my teaching, learning, and summary debrief. So I'm going to pass that on to you and give you my learning and understanding, and that will make me do the summaries of the articles. It also will reinforce my understanding of the work that I'm doing. So I'll try to do my best to actually say it myself, but in saying that, I will have notes written beside me that I've done to refer back to and read from. So I just read the article, How to Become a Better Leader. And what I have learned from that is that to become a good leader, it does require a lot of work. It requires a lot of hard work on yourself. You have to identify your traits and shortcomings, be able to work on the shortcomings, adopt new leadership styles, and use those. If you cannot change your style, but know your shortcomings, find someone who possesses those skills to be your devil's advocate, if you will, to balance your leadership style and be able to call you on it. So, in that regard, if the idea is that you need to be you need to be able to self-assess, know what your traits are within yourself as a leader, know where those traits are shortcoming. Where they're shortcoming, you need to be able to work on those and be able to develop the other side of those traits of your shortcomings, and work on those to develop and become a good leader, so that you can use those newfound those newfound traits, and develop those so that you can use them as a leader, based upon the circumstances and who you are, who you're leading, or in the environment you're in, the industry, whatever the requirement is for those skills. If you find that you can't develop those skills or traits that are your shortcomings, the next best alternative is to find somebody who does have those traits where you have a shortcoming in, and let them either use them for one, to be your devil's advocate, as in you have them to bounce ideas off, or aspects, the leadership skills off. So, for example, if you're somebody who's quick to make a decision and you don't take the time to analyze the data, if you are not able to develop that trait where you're able to stop yourself from making a decision, analyze the data, from the data make a decision that is data driven rather than intuitive, If you're not able to do that, and you still remain somebody who is intuitive, quick decision maker, then find somebody who has the ability to delay decision making, use data to make a decision, to counter, to balance your style of leadership, or to managing people, and get their views and aspects to counter that, to expand and create synergy. So that's the way to do it. If you don't have it yourself, you find somebody who has it, and to use it. And they need to be able to call you on it, not sort of sit in the corner and not say anything. That's the whole point. There are five big leadership, the big five. So it's called the big five leadership traits. The big five. These are the need for stability, so the ability to deal with stress and emotions. Second is extroversion, our need or desire to be around other people and use their energy. 3 is openness, ability to expand one's mind, mind and curiosity, or intellectually, and big picture thinking, have independence of judgment. 4 is agreeableness, ability to get along with others. 5 is conscientiousness, how much do we rely on structure to organize ourselves and others. So all of these 5 traits, all of these traits have both positives and negatives, so pros and cons to them. But the important thing is to be aware of and to be able to be aware and self-assess what traits you have, what traits you have shortcomings in, and from there identify whether you can develop your leadership skills in those traits where you have a shortfall. If not, then find somebody who can counterbalance those traits and speak up about it. So that's my summary of how to become a better leader. That's what I've taken away from it as my summary. So yes, I've got class tomorrow. I'm going to try my best to go to the gym in the morning. I don't believe that I've done the readings for the next part of tomorrow. Again, I've only just finished that article. I will need to be able to improve my reading skills and ability to take notes from articles and to develop those summaries. I'm taking too long, so I need to develop that skill without question. I'm not a big reader, or should I say, my reading is very. I read brief articles. So I used to be a pretty good reader as far as be able to read a lot of books. I actually converted over to using audiobooks. So that's now a limitation because I stepped away from reading and went to audiobooks because I was able to use or listen to audiobooks while I was working out, which meant I stopped reading. I was never a strong reader as far as being able to speed read. So I've always been a slow reader. So I need to improve my reading capability. 1, speed, and 2, the ability to intake what is being said. 3, to be able to take down notes in the most efficient manner, and 4, to be able to summarize those notes into a summary of what I've read and understood. 5, part of that is to understand and absorb what that information is and apply it. Big part of what we're doing for leadership and our assessment is to do what is referred to as inventories. So they are questions where we need to self-assess ourselves based upon, as a leader, we self-assess, and we also have others assess us, assess, and we assess each other. So, and that's part of what we have to do. Part of what it's called syndicate work, which is another term for team or group work. So that's part of what our assessment is for this leadership module or course. So yes, I'm also learning how to use a laptop, my laptop, in the lectures, because when I went to university, most of us didn't have laptops at the time. We had the desktop computer. Laptops were too expensive 20 odd years ago. So now everyone's got a laptop, they're affordable. So I'll take that. I take that along. I still take my book and a pen to write down notes. I'm now, because I've got access to the slides prior to as a digital copy, PDF, I have the ability to have those in front of me while the presentation is being done by the lecturer. And what I do is I have in the PDF, I make notes and type up the notes, a sticky note. And I put that sticky note, I attach it to the page, and I write comments in the sticky note based upon what information I'm getting from the lecturer for that slide, and that's how I'm recording that. So I need to develop that skill as well. That's important. So yes, being able to, and that's where that debrief needs to, after the class, needs to be taken from. So yes, that is that's my debrief from today. It was around leadership and orientation day for my first day at Melbourne Business School for the MBA. You can follow me on at YouTube at Damien Foley. You can follow me on my website at www.damienfoley.com/MBA. And now you can also follow me on Instagram at, I will bring this up on my phone because I've only just started doing it today, using Instagram for my using Instagram, and you can follow me on Instagram at DG Foley. So those three are now YouTube, Damien Foley, website www.damienfoley.com/MBA, and on Instagram, which at DG Foley, one word. So yes, I've now got three ways to be followed around my MBA journey at Melbourne Business School. I probably won't be able to answer any questions people have and they post on Instagram or on YouTube. To be honest, I just won't have time. That's why I'm a little hesitant to use Facebook, even though I do have Facebook. I will consider that to start using Facebook as part of that journey and as a social media tool for you guys to follow about what I'm doing. At the moment, I'm going to stick to YouTube, stick to my website, and I'll use Instagram for photos. So yes, that is my debrief of today for my journey at my MBA journey at Melbourne Business School. First day, orientation day, and leadership. Okay, guys, I'm going to go off to bed, get some sleep, try and get at least 7 hours sleep, which will probably mean now it's almost 1:45 a.m., which gets me to 8 o'clock, so I probably will not be getting to the gym in the morning. That's disappointing on my behalf, but I need to be getting to bed at 10 o'clock. But I'll see how I go with these readings. I'm behind, so I need to get those done. So I'll finish this video and get to bed, and hopefully by 1 a.m. Okay, guys, see yous. Bye.